if you simply arrange your affairs in such a way as to pay less tax than you might pay, depending on how you arranged your business, then you are simply avoiding. And the idea was that if you did that, it was not illegal, because nobody is obliged to arrange his affairs in such a way as to give the tax authorities the maximum amount of tax. As long as he's within the law, he can choose to arrange his affairs in a way that gives him the most tax efficiency. But in the real world, there's a gray area where you're not sure whether what is happening is evasion or avoidance. And increasingly, it is perhaps irrelevant what it is, because it is the law, the language of the law, that is to be looked at. If what you have done is in breach of the law, doesn't matter what you call it, whether you call it evasion or avoidance. In the case of, say, let's take the sports men and the athletes. What they do is they earn an income from the sport they're engaged in. So if you're a footballer, every week your club pays you for playing football every week. But in addition to that, you might endorse and earn income from endorsements. And quite often what they earn from endorsements exceeds by a large amount what they earn from playing football every week. Same way as if you're a golfer, what you earn from winning golf tournaments is a fraction of what you might earn from endorsements. And that is why you have golfers who have not played golf in many years. Tiger Woods is a good example, but he's still earning a lot of money from endorsements. You see, so the endorsement income can be significant. Now, what do some of them do? They will say that the right to sell their face or their brand is assigned to some offshore entity. And anybody who wants to use their face or brand on a product pays to that offshore entity. And the money stays in that offshore entity where the tax rate is small or non-existent. But the tax authorities take the view that the popularity which is giving that brand and the value which it is then selling is being earned in the jurisdiction where this person is playing the sport. And that makes sense. If you're playing football every week in Spain, then the reason why somebody in Nigeria wants to say Messi endorses my product, whatever it is because Messi is being seen every week playing in Spain, not because Messi is in the Cayman Islands playing football, or in Panama, or wherever else. And so the tax authorities make the argument that this is where you're earning that popularity which you're selling. And therefore, the income relating to those endorsements should be coming to this jurisdiction. The people don't realize that, by the same token, when a sportsman plays sports in a country for a few days, so if he visits Nigeria and plays in Nigeria for a few days and is paid while he's playing in Nigeria, what he has earned while playing in Nigeria is taxable in Nigeria. Just as if a musician comes to play in Nigeria and is being paid to play in Nigeria, what he earns for those few days is taxable in Nigeria. And Nigerian musicians go abroad to play, and they don't always realize that what they earn while they're there playing is taxable in those countries. Now, what FIFA and the IOC do when they are awarding the rights to a country to host the World Cup or the Olympics, they will get that country to agree that for the duration of the tournament, the earnings of those sportsmen will not be taxed in that country. That's one of the things that FIFA and the IOC get countries to agree. Otherwise, all those sportsmen will be obliged to pay tax in that country for the 3, 4, whatever number of weeks that they are playing in that country.
At the beginning of this interview, you did say that apart from the legal and technical issues, there was also the moral issue. What do you mean by that?
Some companies and individuals are able to work within the law to reduce the tax that they might otherwise have to pay. And it's all about being clever. So, for example, in the UK, a few years ago, Starbucks, which is a popular coffee maker with many shops all over the UK, was paying very little tax in the UK. And it appeared to be all within the law, but the public was not aware of this. When the public did become aware, there was a public outcry. The public felt, well, that it wasn't fair for a company this size, with this turnover, to pay so little, whereas everybody else was having to pay what they felt was a little bit more. In the end, because it was becoming a public relations problem, Starbucks actually volunteered to pay more than they were obliged to pay in order to douse this. Because perhaps the next thing they would have started suffering is people would have said, okay, let's stop drinking Starbucks. Exactly. Again, in many of those countries, they are seeing that they are beginning to struggle to meet the social needs, and they are looking for ways to collect more. So it is becoming, a real issue. How they can increase what they collect by way of taxes in order to meet the increasing demands of society. It's a problem. In some countries, they're talking about increasing the retirement age so that people will not retire so early and therefore not have to earn a government pension for as long as they might otherwise, or they might presently, earn it for, because there is increasing pressure on government, resources.